Hare Krishna. Yeah, done. Hare. Oh, okay, you mean like that. Yeah, okay. Hare Krishna. Welcome to Sri Sri Radha Gopinath Temple E-session. We'll be continuing our prayers of the Personified Vedas. We have 3 more sessions left that we are going to be discussing. So today the plan is to go from text number 14 to 21, definitely, and if Krishna permits, then we'll go to 23, if Krishna permits, but we are going to go from text 14 to text number 23. Sorry, my shika opened up, so I'll just close it. So Hare Krishna, we'll all do Mangal Charan. Om Jnana Timirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahiyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vande Aham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Pada Kamalan Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatham Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha. He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanusute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vangsha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shrivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudire. Nashta Prayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavat Sevayat Bhagavate Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangum Langayate Girim Yat Kripatamaham Vande Shri Guru Dinataranam Paramananda Madhavam Shri Chaitanya Ishwaram. Jai. So now we're going to continue the prayers of the Personified Vedas. We'll be doing from text number 14. So last time last two sessions we described about the glories of the Vedic knowledge. We described how Bhagavatam is the topmost of the Vedic knowledge. We used the construct of how the Vedic knowledge disseminates and how Vyasadev's progression of realization ends in Srimad Bhagavatam. And then of course, by the mercy of our acharyas, we have all our acharyas, including Srila Prabhupada, who have summarized Srimad Bhagavatam. So for us in ISKCON, the summary of Srimad Bhagavatam is the Krishna book. So there, this chapter is the biggest chapter. So today we are going to start from text number 14, the prayers. Shri Shrutaya Uhuchu Jaya 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 Jam Ajita Dosha Gribhita Gunam Tvamasi Yadatmana Samavaruddha Samasta Bhaga Aga Jaga Okashan Akila Shaktyava Bodhakate Kvajida Jayatmana Chacharato Nuchare Nigama. These are little bigger shlokas and harder shlokas to sing, but I'm trying. But I'm sure there are devotees who actually sing very well, especially Sharanmukhi Mataji. She sings shlokas very well. Nowadays, because it's Purushottamas, she's sending the prayers of Lord Brahma. She sings so nicely. Mine is, below average, as they say. So now we'll read the translation of this wonderful purport. Of this verse, not purport, verse. The Shruti said, "Victory, victory to you, O unconquerable one. By your very nature, you are perfectly full in all opulence. Therefore, please defeat the eternal power of illusion, who assumes control over the modes of nature, to create difficulties for conditioned souls. O you, who awaken all the energies of the moving and non-moving embodied beings. Sometimes the Vedas can recognize you as you sport with your material and spiritual potencies." So last time we had discussed this idea that why the Shrutis are waking up the Lord. They're waking up the Lord because they want to be merciful to the Jivas who are bound up in this material world. We see Krishna explains that there are two types of Jivas. There are the Nitya Siddhas and then there are the Nitya Baddhas. Now it is interesting that we use this word Nitya. Nitya means eternal. Right? So why would you say that there is someone who is eternally liberated? Nitya Siddha. And then there is someone who is eternally entangled. Nitya Baddha. Right? So we have those two principles. And it's interesting for us as devotees to understand that the reason why we use the word Nitya is because the soul is eternal. So the activity it does, right, has an effect on the eternal principles. So if a soul is doing something, it's Nitya. That is its eternal state. That's what it wants to do. Right? And when the soul is, not the soul is, but that's the point, that when the soul is doing something, it is doing it because that is its eternal state. Now, how does this apply in the Nitya Baddha and the Nitya Siddha stages? Is that when the soul is eternal, I apologize, not eternal, when the soul realizes his spiritual nature, then it comes to an eternal state. It becomes Nitya Siddha. So Siddha means one who's reached the goal. Siddha, Siddhanta. Right? Bhakti Siddhanta, Srila Prabhupada's Guru Maharaj. So we see the word Siddha. The reason why the soul is immediately transferred into a Nitya Siddha position is because having come to that realization, one will not fall down. You see, so that is the blessing. So that becomes our position. We immediately turn into a Nitya Siddha position, right? And then when we get immediately confused, because of Krishna's material energy, we become Nitya Baddhas. Now we are eternally bound up. You see the nature, the eternal nature of it. And the reason why I am presenting this is sometimes as devotees, especially when somebody tries to understand, the origin of the soul, the Jaiva Dharma principles, we actually miss this point of this eternality of the soul. And therefore, its activities has an effect on that eternality. Is that making sense? That how the Siddha and the Baddha principle affects the Nitya principle. Right? How the two intertwine and they function. So, sometimes when we see Krishna, he puts his devotees in illusion. Then believe it or not, the devotee generally gets into illusion. Like genuinely. Then Krishna comes and undoes it. Why does Krishna have to come and undo it? Because sometimes when Krishna puts us in that illusion, we become baddha, we get entangled. Right? We instantly become intertwined. And so therefore Krishna has to come and then cut the twines out. There's a beautiful, I just saw a picture of Lord Chaitanya there. And there's that beautiful story of Lord Chaitanya when he pulls the devotee back by his shika. He says, come back, you fool. So, through pulling that shika, he brings the devotee back. So, that is Krishna. So when Krishna can entangle, it's only Krishna that can take out. It is actually only Krishna. So that's why when you see here this prayer that the Shrutis are giving, the last line of the shloka says, Kvachit ajayat mana, means one who is sporting. Krishna is sporting with his material energy and spiritual energy. Right? So he's sporting. And so Krishna can put someone into illusion. He can. But then, remember one thing, there is an aspect of energy and then there is an aspect of relationship. So what I mean by the two aspects is, sometimes, my son comes and he says, Dad, let us fight. So then I overpower him because I'm bigger, right? I mean, of course, I'm also a short fellow. I'm not a big boy. But compared to my son, I'm big. So, Krishna allows you to lord over people. Like Krishna gives you that principle that I'll lord over someone. So then my kid is there, so I, push him down. And then so with my energy, I can overpower him. But then there is the relationship. Then I see that he's struggling and then I let him overpower me. Is that making sense? So how this idea of Krishna, his energies are there. They are very, powerful. At the same time, the relationship is there. So then the energies are, nicely balanced or equalized. So that's how Krishna functions. So that is why, sometimes somebody may ask the question, can Krishna confuse a Nitya Siddha? Yes, he can. There are so many stories of Narad Muni where, Krishna confuses Narad Muni. But then Krishna, because of the relationship is there, that relationship is there, Krishna immediately comes. It's a short time. Krishna says, no, chalo, come back now. So that, position we have to appreciate. Right? Because sometimes there is this big talk about, one falls down from the spiritual world, not from the spiritual world. Yes, we fell down from the spiritual world. Of course, there are nuances to this point. This one point that I made, that we fell from the spiritual. There is a lot of nuance to it. That is what Jaiva Dharma, that is, Bhakti Vinod Swami's book, that it goes into that nuance of this. But the principle that Srila Prabhupada lays down for us, that devotee falls down from the spiritual world, it is true, it is factual. That we could have been in a state, and we can fall down from that state, and we can now become Nitya Baddhas. So that is one aspect that we can pull out. Okay. And so, the other aspect I wanted to also talk about is this Aga Jagat. Aga Jagadokasham. So it is that this moving and non-moving. Aja or Jaga. So when we use the word Jagrita, means wake up, act. Because when one is sleeping, one is not moving. right? Sleeping, you're virtually like a dead person. Sometimes, we can appreciate that, sometimes when you go to sleep, suddenly we open our eyes, the next day has passed. How time has flown. We have slept for 8 hours. 8 hours. We have just lied down there like this. Sometimes we like to call ourselves, I'm very active. I'm a very active Prabhu. But everyone sleeps for 8 hours. So we come into that state of corpse. That's why actually there is a yoga, there is a yoga mudra where one does that, I forgot what it's called now, that the dead man pose. Like when you just lie down like this. I forgot what it's called, but yeah, that one. So, even in yoga that is used. So this, sometimes we are aga, sometimes we are jagad. Sometimes we wake up. Jagrita. Jiva jago. So we see Bhaktivinoda Swami singing this wonderful poetry. But here the point here is that there can sometimes be a moving entity and sometimes a non-moving entity. Like a non-moving entity, we can think of person when he's sleeping, or you can think of the trees. There are many non-moving entities that we appreciate. And then also there are moving entities, like us as big beings, or even a small hydra. It just keeps tumbling itself in the sea and keeps moving. So all of those aspects are there. Now the reason why we present this is there is always a question, and even in perfect question, perfect answer, that reporter asked Srila Prabhupada this question, that can Krishna make something that he himself cannot move? Right? That is the greatest philosophical position. Can if God is so great, can he create something that he himself cannot move? So in this idea, we can recognize that yes, they are Krishna's energies. Krishna can create something that doesn't move, and then he will move it. See? So this is the contradictory nature of Krishna. So in Krishna, the contradiction is seen. And we can see that contradiction in ourselves. I am a living being, but then I am sleeping. Right? And then I am virtually like almost comatose. Almost. So we can see that that contradiction in ourselves, and that contradiction in Krishna is many times expanded. So Krishna is completely contradictory, very contradictory. And it is this contradicting nature of Krishna that confuses the Brahmavads and the Mayavads. And that is why their philosophy becomes a bit dissuaded. Like the Brahmavads start only thinking about the impersonal feature. Because if you see the personal feature, there is contradiction. In the impersonal feature, they are able to put some boundaries, right? But in Krishna's personal, so in the impersonal form, you can put a boundary, but in the personal form, it's very hard to put that boundary. And then similarly for the Mayavad, in this contradiction, they get confused. So yeah, that is why the Shrutis, they are using this, like, we'll read this line again. You sport with your material and spiritual potencies. So, this point is being made, and Srila Prabhupada in Krishna book, he makes this point that Krishna has the ability to do these things, these contradictory things. Yep. So now we'll go to the next text. We'll go to text number 15. Brihadupalabdham metad avayantyavasheshataya yatha udayashtam avayo vivrikte mridi va vivriktat. Hard shlok is the spell. Atarishayo dadustvai manovachana charitam katham yatha bhavanti bhuvi datapadani nrinam. Translation. This perceivable world is identified with the Supreme, because the Supreme Brahman is the ultimate foundation of all existence, remaining unchanged as all created things are generated from it and at last dissolved into it, just as clay remains unchanged by the products made from it and again merged with it. Thus it is towards you alone that the Vedic sages direct all their thoughts, words, and acts. After all, how can the footsteps of men fail to touch the earth on which they live? Jai. So here we are seeing the supremacy of the impersonal aspect of Krishna being presented, the Brahman. Right? So this is the impersonal aspect that is being presented. And it is being explained that this impersonal aspect is very powerful. It is the ultimate form. Right? Why? Because everything emanates from this form and then everything winds up back into that form. So usually when someone is, looking at a Brahmavad philosophy or a Mayavad philosophy, we have to see that they don't end up in, the various stages. So if you look at the manifestation of this material world, right? You have the Brahman, then we have Mahavishnu lying down on the Karnodakshayi Vishnu. Sorry, I apologize. Karana ocean, not Karnodakshayi Vishnu. We see Mahavishnu lying down in the Karana ocean, and then from there emanates from him the universe. Yep. Now this universe that emanates, its initial state, when you think about when it becomes inert, is Pradhan. Right? So that is way before even the Brahman stage. You see, it's way before the Brahman stage. So the Pradhana, right, it is an aspect of Brahman. Aspect. So sometimes when someone is a Brahmavad and when he's thinking, oh, there is nothing and there is all peace, the Pradhan is that stage. So one has to be careful in these philosophies of Brahmavad or Mayavad that one doesn't end up in the Pradhan stage and that becomes one's goal. No, one has to look beyond it. And then of course beyond it is the Brahman stage, but even beyond that is the Para-Brahman stage, which is Krishna. The ultimate source of even Brahman. This is a very beautiful line. Srila Prabhupada writes, let's read and listen. It's very beautiful, right? It's very, very emphatic, these words. So it's probably about 4 sentences. So let's listen. This is from Krishna book. Krishna is the supreme Brahman because of his unlimited knowledge, unlimited potency, unlimited strength, unlimited influence, unlimited beauty, and unlimited renunciation. So the 6 qualities of Bhagavan. So if you go to the shloka, you will see, not in this shloka, but in the previous shloka, that you see the word Bhagat. Right? Sorry, not Bhagat, I apologize, Bhaga. So Bhaga means it's supreme Bhagavan. Bhagavan comes the word Bhaga. Bhaga means one who has all the opulences. Right? So here Srila Prabhupada is presenting the 6 opulences. Then Srila Prabhupada says, therefore, the word Brahman can be applied to Krishna only. Whoa. How fired up is this? Right? Arjuna affirms that because the impersonal Brahman is the effulgence emanating as rays of Krishna's transcendental body, Krishna is Para-Brahman. You know that beautiful shloka, Param Brahma, Param Dhama, Pavitram Paramam Mama. So that, this is the point that Srila Prabhupada is pointing to, that Arjuna is presenting this. And also in chapter 8, when Arjuna asks Krishna, that Krishna, please summarize what is Para-Brahman. And Krishna is explaining that I am Para-Brahman. Krishna is Para-Brahman. Right? Now this line is really fired up, right? Everything is resting on Brahman. Okay, catch the word. Everything is resting on Brahman. But Brahman itself is resting on Krishna. How fired up is that? Therefore, Krishna is the ultimate Brahman or Para-Brahman. Yeah. So, Srila Prabhupada, he presents things with such, voracity, with such force, that we immediately understand, yes, this makes complete sense. Now, of course, when I use the word force, I'm not talking about it from a show of strength or, trying to destroy someone. I'm using the word force in the sense of breaking the illusion. Like, sometimes, sometimes if you see in some corridors, you see there is one, they say, in emergency break glass, and then there is a fire alarm there. Right? So, if there is a fire, for us to ring the alarm, we have to, with force, we have to break the glass. Right? So, when I say Srila Prabhupada is speaking with force, that is the force I'm talking about. The force of breaking the illusion that we have. So here, Srila Prabhupada is presenting this point, that this supreme Brahman, that is Krishna. that is none other than Krishna. This Para Brahman. Right? It is not impersonal. It has a form. And in this Para Brahman form, there is full contradiction. Full, complete, no doubt about it, complete contradiction. Right? And so when as devotees, this progression of reading Bhagavatam, this progression of reading Chaitanya Charitamrita, reading Bhagavad Gita, associating with devotees, chanting the round, is to finally understand this contradiction that is there. That is Krishna. Right? That contradiction, that is Krishna. One can say the ultimate contradiction, Krishna. So that's interesting. So that's another way to perceive it. Yeah? Jai. So now, because we have to cater for time, so there are many points here, but then what I'll try to do is I'll try to pick them up in the next shloka, so that we can kind of like keep going at the same time, we don't lose track of time. So we go to text number 16. Iti tava surayas triyadipate khila lokamala shapana kathamritabdhim avaghaya tapamsi jahu kim uta puna swadhama vidutashaya kala guna paramam bhajanti ye padam ajashra sukhanubhavam. Translation. Therefore, O Master of the three worlds, the wise get rid of all misery by diving deep into the nectarian ocean of topics about you, which washes away all the contamination of the universe. Then, what to speak of those who, having by spiritual strength rid their minds of bad habits and freed themselves from time, are able to worship your true nature, O Supreme One, finding within it uninterrupted bliss. So this is here the Shruti, first Jiva Goswami in Krama Sandarbha, he makes this point that this shloka is being spoken by a Shruti who completely wants to walk away from this whole Brahman conversation. He doesn't want to discuss this impersonal form. Directly come back to Krishna. Discuss Krishna directly. Why talk about this Brahman? So although we see shloka number 15 talking about the Brahman, we see here in text number 16 it is being brought back into the main topic of Krishna. Right? Because the Shrutis are praying whom? They're praying Garbhodakshayi Vishnu, asking him, please wake up. Please, once again, create the universe. Once again, give Brahma the strength so he can create, give the strength to Lord Shiva so he can destroy. Please allow this agitation to occur, this material agitation. So the Shruti in here is bringing this point back to Krishna. Now, how does the Shruti bring this point back to Krishna? We have to observe that. It is bringing it back by glorifying the devotee. You see? How, we say that wherever there is Krishna, there is his devotee. The two go hand in hand. Krishna is not alone. One time my Guru Maharaj had come home and he had seen, we had this wooden, we had one beautiful sandalwood, carved deity of Lord Krishna. Very, very beautiful. I think my dad had got it from Vrindavan long ago. Very beautiful. I really like that deity. It's very beautiful. And so it was just kept in one place alone. And so my Guru Maharaj was just telling my dad that, usually Krishna is never alone. He should be with somebody. He should put a cow. He should put something like somebody should be with them. And so this idea is always there that Krishna is never alone. Never. Right? He's always with the devotee. Always. So that is why you'll see in the altar whenever, the pujaris, they dress up Radha Gopinath. You'll always see, obviously there is Radharani, the greatest devotee there. But then you'll also see, a lot of, paraphernalia devotees. You'll see cows, peacocks, elephants. They're always, roaming around there. And usually on festivals, we'll even see rabbits, so swans, like, different things. But the idea of why we have all of this is because Krishna is not alone. So whenever there is Krishna, the devotee is there. So how the Shruti brings the topic back to Krishna is by glorifying the devotee. And the word that is used for the devotee here is Swadhama. Right? So we have one devotee of Krishna, his name is Sudhama. So here the word is Swadhama. And so it's interesting that here the word Dhama is translated as power, by the ability. And another interesting point, Bhaktividya Poon Maharaj made this very nice point, that Dhama, Dhama is also Tatashta Shakti. Just like Jiva, we are Jivas. We are Tatashta energy of Krishna. We are the marginal energy of Krishna. Right? We are marginal. Similarly, Dhama, the place of pilgrimage, right? That is also Tatashta energy of Krishna. So what it means by Tatashta means it can exist in both places. It can exist both in spiritual and material. It is Tatashta. Right? And so appreciating this, at least for me, like when I heard this, it put me into a deep thought, and I think nearly for 20-30 minutes I was just thinking, I was like, man, this is fired up, this concept, right? That the Dhamma is actually Tatashta energy. And so here you see that the word Dhamma is translated as power. Swadhama means the power of the devotee, the self-control, the self-realization of the devotee. And so it is interesting to actually see the concept of power. We say balam balvata chaham, like Krishna says, I give strength to the strong, right? So we see that this ability, Krishna says, this ability in man, paurusham nirshu, this ability in man, right? This dhamma, if you can think of this word as dhamma as the power, where is this power? Like when you think about yourself, I'm powerful. Where is the power? Is the power inside you or is it outside you? It is tatashta. See, one's energy is tatashta. So when you see the prime minister coming, right, or the president coming in, the power of the president is the president himself and then his entourage. Like his, secret service and the bodyguards, people with guns, you see? So it is the person himself and then his entourage. So tatashta. It is you, internal you, and the external as well. So the internal, so you'll see that this concept of one's power, one's nrishu, it is actually tatashta. Right? And the reason why I am focusing on this is, when we appreciate this tatashta concept, we can appreciate that how as jivas, I was in the spiritual world, I came to the material world, and now I wish to go back to the spiritual world. Like this journey, this ping pong, right? Get hit, go down there, say, not good, let's take the journey back up to the spiritual world. Right? So this ping pong is what we have to appreciate, that because we are marginal, we have this bounce effect. Right? We bounce. I like to tell to my son, just bounce. So, like we just move. So yeah, so this energy, this dhamma, it is the tatashta. So this swadhama, this ability, it is a tatashta energy. So, I'm sure nowadays Purushottam Mass is going on. So a lot of devotees are doing, austerities. So this ability that you have to do austerity, that is tatashta energy. That is your marginal energy. Right? It is, of course, the determination inside. And then externally also, then that determination is coming out. Oh, I will not, eat this. I will wake up in the morning. I will read this book. I'm going to chant 64 rounds. I think Ghanshyam Prabhu had sent one thing about devotees chanting 64 rounds in month of Damodar. I couldn't register. I don't have that ability, the nrishu, to chant 64 rounds. But I know a lot of devotees have. He was mentioning something like, I think 1,000 people. Or maybe I'm exaggerating, so apologies. But a lot of devotees have taken up this. So this nrishu, this dhamma, swadhama is there. Right? So this is one's marginal energy. And then the idea is that through this marginal energy, eventually one should intensify it internally. You see? And so this is the journey of the jiva as well. So the jiva is currently in the external, then, we are entangled in the material world. Now we are in the marginal state where I'm like, okay, I'm a devotee, I'm chanting, but still I want the Porsche car and I want, beautiful people to glorify me. Little bit glorification that, Prabhu, you're so amazing. That I still want that. So that is marginal. And then, but eventually even that must be given up. Sarva upadi vinirmukta tat paratvena nirmala. Right? Then one has to become really humble then Trinadapi, Sunichena, all of these wonderful shlokas are there explaining this point. Then one can enter the internal. So the jiva has to take this journey. But in order to take this journey, we have to take this ability that we have, the spiritual ability. From external, we have to bring it to marginal, and then eventually we have to bring it internal. So that is our journey as well, right? So we can see that correlation. Yeah. So so here we actually are seeing that this ability is being described. Like what to speak of those who have, by spiritual strength, rid their minds of bad habits, freed themselves of time, and then finally worship your true nature. Can you see that journey from external, coming to marginal, and then going internal? So that journey is very glorious. Yeah? Okay. Seeing time, we have done only 3 shlokas. So let's go to... There's lots to discuss in this, but the idea of these prayers are to also encourage everyone to read them. And you will all come up with amazing realizations. Believe me. Chaitanya Charan Prabhu had given a very wonderful class here. I hope some of you all had, I forgot the name of the class, the seminar actually. When I say class means it was seminar. I forgot the name of the seminar, but he was talking about, Anumana, Pratyaksha. He was talking about the, 3 abilities of how we take things, how we present. So he was talking about how using these 3 things by Shabda, Pramana and by Shabda, Pratyaksha and Anumana, through these 3 principles, one can start getting realization. So the idea of these prayers are also that, you become greatly enlivened to read these and get realization. And then the beauty of your realization is that you can present this to people in a very consumable format, right? To university students, to, I see so many pictures of these Vaishnavas going out and distributing books. I'll be very honest with you, I'm the worst distributor of book you can find. Many times, I have stood in stalls for 2 hours, and by Krishna's grace, I have sold 1 book, the thin book, for $1 or $2. That's my glory, right? So, but I see these devotees, they're just going around, person is, driving into his car. They're able to talk to them and just give a book. See, this is called consumable, chewable philosophy. That just by that relation, by association, they're like, yes, we can take the book. You see, making bite-sized chunks. And then remember what we discussed, that the Shrutis, what is their mood, or what is the mood of these books? These books, why are they waking Vishnu up? They're waking Lord Vishnu up here in these prayers, is to say that please deliver the soul. So that is their ardent desire. So by the book distribution, when the book is landing in this soon to be devotee's hand, the crowd that gets the book itself is ardently wishing that this person must become a devotee. So the book is wishing that. So that's amazing, isn't it? The book is alive. It's alive. So back to text number 17. Dhritaya eva swashantya so brito yadi te nuvidha mahad aham madayondam ashrijan yad anugrahata purusha vidon vayontara charamonna mayadhishu yaha sadasat param tvam mathayad eshva vashesham ritam. I lost the tune in between. Anyway, Hare Krishna. Translation. Only if let's start again, translation. Only if they become your faithful followers are those who breathe actually alive. Sorry, I didn't say it properly. Only if they become your faithful followers are those who breathe actually alive. Otherwise, their breathing is like that of a bellows. It is by your mercy alone that the elements, beginning with the Mahat Tattva and false ego, created the egg of this universe. Among the manifestation known as Annamaya and so forth, you are the ultimate one, entering within the material coverings, along with the living entity, and assuming the same forms as those he takes. Distinct from the gross and subtle material manifestation, You are the reality underlying them all. So I don't know if you caught the slippage. So when I use the word slippage means, usually when a Mayavad or a Brahmavad will read this, probably not a Brahmavad, but mainly a Mayavad will read this, they say, see, look at this line. You are the ultimate one, entering within the material coverings along with the living entity and assuming the same forms as those he takes. So they take this line, and Srila Prabhupada in Krishna book, man, he really goes after this. Like he really goes after this, right? You read Krishna book, like really fired up how Srila Prabhupada, talks about this idea that one should not think that Krishna has become a jiva. Actually, Krishna has entered every atom. That's how much we rely on Krishna. We rely on Krishna so much that nothing can function without Krishna's help. Even this material world that we want to be in, where we are saying that I want to be in this material world because I want to stay away from Krishna. Even this world is being sustained by Krishna himself. These atoms that I'm building, because of which this table, this chair, this mic, these clothes have come, they are all because of Krishna. All. If Krishna comes out of the atom, finished, everything will break down. So we have to understand the depth of dependence. I was talking to one person, he was a Brahmavad, and I was trying to explain to him, and I was trying to make him realize that the depth of dependence one has. The depth. He was espousing the idea that no, actually the Brahman is, greater, and we are just, we are part and parcels of Brahman, we have the ability, we have the divine intelligence. I mean, I wouldn't call it pure Brahmavad, it's probably a mix of Mayavad, what this person was presenting. But the idea here is, I was trying to explain to him that we, like as a jiva, we are so dependent. Like so dependent that if our blood doesn't move by the proper meter, we get high blood pressure or low blood pressure and we immediately faint. That is the nuance we are talking about, like something so small, right? And so I was trying to explain to him that we are so dependent on things. I'm dependent on my body pumping my blood properly. I depend on it. I'm depending on my heart. It's my heart, but I depend on it because I don't control it. You see, are you catching that? It's my heart, this heart that is beating. It's mine, but I depend on it. Right? Because, why do I depend on it? I don't know when it will stop. You see the dependence? It is so intricate. So I was explaining to him, and then I think he was trying to figure it out, and he was like, okay. He was saying, but still, we are all Brahman. So, you see, so they slip into this, this trap. Oh, okay, no, everything is Brahman. Oh, don't worry about it. But here the Shrutis are presenting that, my dear Krishna, you are going with the Jivas. You are entering into all the atoms, and then you are enabling the Jiva to take any form. Like I have this body, right? You think I woke up one day, and decided that I'm going to choose this person as my mom and I'm going to get a body of this shape. No, this is what I've got. You see? So Krishna is giving me based on my desire. I got this body based on my desire. Now, of course, I wish, I was taller. I wish I was more handsome. I wish I was, I had all the muscles and the, 8 abs. I wish all of these things. But, so these are wishes. But what I have is because of Krishna's mercy. Now all of my wishes, they're accumulating. And then one day I may get that body as well. Right? Someday I may get that body. So those wishes are accumulating. And Krishna, he's keeping tab. Okay, this is the wish of the jiva. Then, formulate this. I was seeing this picture of these kangaroos. These kangaroos in the, central Australia. Man, they got huge chest and, biceps. They're sitting there like, these guys are like 6 foot tall, Aussies, like real Aussies, got a tan skin sitting in the, middle of Australia, taking in the real sun. Real Aussies, these guys. Big chested, big muscle. So I was thinking that, if I wish so much for, this wonderful body, Krishna might make me a kangaroo. Because, it kind of adds up, Australian wishing for a strong body, kangaroo, here you go. So one has to be careful about those wishes. The point here being made is that Krishna is fulfilling all of those wishes. Sarvasya chaham hridi sannivishta. Krishna is in the heart and he is taking care of everything. Right? So Jai. So now we go to text number 18. Ooh, yeah, this is a very big purport. I tried to summarize as much as I could. I didn't get enough time to discuss about the gradation of philosophies. But Srila Prabhupada writes so beautifully in Krishna book about these, Annamoy, Pranamoy, Jnana or Manamoy, Vijnanamoy, and then Anandamoy. The gradation of philosophy. Like how philosophy of a person grades. And Srila Prabhupada mentions so beautifully in the purport of Krishna book that Annamoy, Pranamoy, and Manamoy or Jnanamoy, this is material education. Like it doesn't go beyond these three. Then Vijnanamoy and Anandmoy. Vijnanamoy, one needs Shastra. Anandmoy, one needs association of devotee. So that tag up is there. So yeah, we don't have enough time, so we're just going to go. Text 18. Udaram upasateya rishi vartmasukur padrisha parisara padatim hridayam arunayo daharam tata udaga ananta tavadham shira paramam punarihayad sametya na patanti kritanta mukhe. Translation. Among the followers of the methods set forth by the sages, those with less refined vision worship the Supreme as present in the region of the abdomen, while the Arunis worship him as present in the heart, in the subtle center from which all the pranic channels emanate. From there, O unlimited Lord, these worshippers raise their consciousness upwards to the top of the head, where they can perceive you directly. Then, passing through the top of the head towards the supreme destination, they reach that place from which they will never again fall to this world into the mouth of death. Jai. So the word that is Kritanta Mukhe. So this Kritanta Mukhe is like, this is the jaw of death with very sharp teeth. We even see this in the description of in Canto 2, in the description of the the Virata Rupa of Krishna. We talk about this, beautiful teeth of Krishna. Right? The Kritanta Mukhe. The beautiful teeth of Krishna that crushes people as the mouth of death. In the Virata form. No, we're not talking about in this beautiful form of Krishna here. In the Virata form, that's the form of Krishna. And so here we see something very interesting. We were talking about this Annamoy, Pranamoy, Manamoy, the three philosophies. You will see that, in virtually any of the books that talks about morality or atheism or agnostics, what they present, you will see that one of their greatest problem is the fact that could God kill? Can God kill? And here, you see, that is their greatest problem. That how can there be such a person as God? He's killing people. See, that is their glitch point. But here, the Shrutis and the devotees, they're glorifying Krishna. Oh Krishna, whose mouth acts as the mouth of death. The Kritanta Mukhe. You see, it's interesting, isn't it? That very thing that stops people from being theists, from being devotees. That very point, for the devotees, that is a glorification. And the reason why I point this out is that for all of us as devotees, we are all going to go through troubling times. We are all going to have bad moments, and especially now. Lockdown is going on. I think one of my god brothers, I think he's Russian, I believe, Russian or Ukrainian, I don't remember. But he got COVID. Like he's a very great, when I say great, meaning very elevated preacher, very elderly preacher, and very elderly is not a right word. Elevated is the right word. He's an elevated preacher, and so he's sick. So these problems are coming. But the devotee, he's not looking at this. He's thinking, oh yeah, Krishna, you're the destroyer of the three worlds. If you see in the previous shlokas, they kept talking about Krishna, you are the destroyer. that the first shloka of the Chatur Shloki, Ahameva samevagre nanyad yad satasat param paschad aham yadetacha yovashishchet somyaham. That, that Krishna is telling Brahma that I was there before the creation. The world creates, and then after the world is destroyed, I am still there. You see, so that's Krishna is telling that to Brahma, and that is a glorification. We as devotees glorify Krishna for this. So yes, we have troubles. Yes, we do. So we can look at these troubles as the Kritanta Mukhe. This is the Kritanta Mukha of Krishna. Right? Okay, Krishna, you're doing this. You are chewing away my bad karmas. You're chewing away this karmic body. Remember, this body we have, it's a karmic body. It's karmic. This is nothing spiritual. Nothing that we need to hold on to. But it's hard. When you wake up in the morning and you put oil in your hair, it's hard not to hold on to this body. But this body is nothing worth holding on to. This is karmic. And so remember, in the 5 topics that are spoken in Bhagavad Gita, Ishvara, Jiva, Prakriti, Kala, Karma. Karma is the one which is temporary. So this karmic body is temporary. Right? So that point has to be made. Right? Sorry, I completely sidestepped. I apologize. When I saw this Kirtan Mukhe, this thought came in my mind, so I'm sorry. We go back to what we want to, what this shloka is talking about is that great devotees, they find many methods of praying to Krishna. Some do it via the abdomen. So you see the first word, Udaram Upasate. So they do the Upasana, right? They do the worship of the Udaram. And we get the word Udaram from us as devotees from Damodaram. So if ever we have to pray an abdomen, we pray the abdomen of Krishna. He is Damodaram, right? Adharam, Madhuram, Gamanadipate. Sorry, I'm just playing on the word Dharam. I'm just playing on that. This is not the song, so avoid that. So the idea is that the Damodara, and the month of Damodar is coming. Right now Purushottam Mass is there, but after that Kartik will come, and month of Damodar is coming. And this prayer to the abdomen. So this is our prayer. That is the whole Damodara Ashtakam that we do. Is that we have 8 prayers glorifying the one whose belly was bound with a rope. So you see these yogis who are focusing on this Mooladharas, that is what they do, the 7 chakras, so it starts with the Mooladhara from the abdomen. So for them, we can tell them as devotees, we are also Mooladharas. We are also applying this principle of the 7 chakras, but directly with Krishna. Srila Prabhupada very emphatically in Krishna book, he writes this amazing point that he says, we also are doing this chakra thing. But how are we doing it? By the 12 tilaks. Dhyanam Keshavaya Nama Narayanaya Nama Madhavaya Nama Govindaya Nama Vishnave Nama Madhusudanaya Nama Trivikramaya Nama Vamanaya Nama Sridharaya Nama Rishikeshaya Nama Padmanabhaya Nama Damodaraya Nama Om Vasudevaya Nama. So Srila Prabhupada writes, these, the positioning of where we put all our 13 tilaks, and he says, this is our presentation that our whole body is a place for Krishna to reside. So fired up, Srila Prabhupada, so fired up. Okay, maybe I couldn't do 21. I thought I could. Okay, and next time I'll probably go a little faster. Because these are the initial shlokas, sorry, I lost track of time. So I was not keeping good pace. But in the next 2 sessions, we will complete all the 28 shlokas. Sorry, not 28, I apologize. Leftover shlokas, not all 28. We've done a fair bit. And so, let's conclude this then. So that is the Udaram. And then there is the one who prays in the heart, the Aruni. Now the Aruni is praying in the heart by saying that the heart, it is basically pumping and providing all the chakra strength, which is true as well. And the idea is that these Arunis, and because there was a great sage Aruni, though he taught this process of yoga, that these people eventually become Paramatmas. They eventually want to see Paramatma. They want to see. Right? So Srila Prabhupada writes in Krishna book about, Krishna is saying in Bhagavad Gita that I reside in people's heart. Sarvasya chaham hridi sannivishta. This is in chapter 15, I believe. Yeah, it's chapter 15. Yeah, Purushottam Yoga, right? I think it's chapter 15. I almost think it's chapter. Sarvasya chaham hridi sannivishta, that Krishna is residing in everyone's heart. So we as devotees also, we are praying to Krishna. So we are also following this method. You see how Krishna consciousness or the process of bhakti becomes all-encompassing. Vedeshu, Yagneshu, Daneshu, Tapeshu. Right? So, you know that this is chapter 8. Yeah, chapter 8. The last shloka of chapter 8. Or within the last section of chapter 8 of Bhagavad Gita. This is Vedeshu, Yagneshu, Tapeshu, Chaiva, Daneshu. So, yeah, so these principles are there, and devotee, he gets the benefit of all of this. So, here you can see, like, you know, we are talking about these various yogis, and as a devotee, we are doing all of this. We are getting the benefit of all of this. So we can practically see the application of that benefit. And then obviously then here it is talking about, you know, how the yogi must die, and then the yogi dies through, you know, bursting out the top of his head. Now, of course, when we were doing chapter 8 in our Bhakti Vriksh, so then this Abhay, one devotee, he was saying, and this is pretty hard. So I told him, don't worry, just relax. Then, you know, as we were reading chapter 8, that shloka came, Tasmat Sarveshu Kaleshu Yoga Yukta. That therefore, my dear Arjuna, don't worry too much about this, you know, yogi, how yogi dies, non-yogi dies, you know, daytime, nighttime, you know, Uttarayana, not Uttarayana. He says, just meditate on me, become a yoga yukta, become a devotee, and I'll take care of everything. So then the devotee became greatly pleased. So I said, see, Krishna wrote Bhagavad Gita for you. Like, he is pleased you that don't worry about all of this stuff. So we as devotees, we don't focus too much on this, right? But that does not mean our benefit is lesser. Our benefit is even greater. Like, you know, here after doing all of this, we see that here it's saying that Tava Dhamam Sira Param. That finally, after all of this, he comes out through the force of bursting out from the head. Finally, he reaches Lord Vishnu's abode. We as devotees, we are just chanting, and like Srila Prabhupada said, we will eat our way back to Krishna consciousness. Of course, you're doing Purushottam Mass, so if someone is doing, then by eating fruits, you know, we'll eat our way. We'll offer to Krishna fruits and whatever, you know, Ekadashi stuff, and then by eating that, we go back home, back to God. So we are not going through the top of the head, we are going through the belly, Udaram. Right? So we were discussing Udaram. So Krishna does say, and in the purport it is mentioned that Vaishwanaro, that as Lord Vaishwanara, as the digestive fire. So because we are eating prasadam, we are, you know, praying to that digestive fire. That is why we have that, you know, Sharira Vidyajal. So we have those wonderful prayers. We also glorify that Krishna is, you know, giving us the ability to digest the prasadam. Yeah, so we will end here. In the next two sessions, then we will try to run through the rest of the shlokas, and we'll slowly close down the Shrutis prayers. Alright? Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Gaur Bhaktavind ki jai, Nitai Gaur Premanande, Hari Hari Bol. Hare Krishna.